What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Zeal Cigar review, and today I'm going to be talking about a company that did something a little bit interesting recently. They may or may not have put their core line as well as their website behind what you guys call a paywall, and we're going to talk about the cigars from Privada Cigar Club all next on the Zeal Cigar review. So I have here a handful of cigars that you normally can't get unless you're a member of Privada Cigar Club. I might have a solution to that. But first, we're going to talk about the cigars that I have here in front of me that I have from Privada. And I'll be honest, I've been pretty impressed with most of the cigars. I think there was maybe two that I didn't really jive with 100%, but that doesn't mean that they're not good smokes. Now, I do have a nice sampling of them here, but I'm going to go through them all individually and then get to the last one, which I'm actually going to smoke with you guys. Before I tell you about all the cigars that we're going to talk about today, I'm going to tell you about the one I'm going to be smoking. And recently, it's been probably one of my favorite cigars to smoke pretty much any time of the day. Like, this could be something that could end up being like my go-to everyday, any time of day smoke. And it's what Privada Cigar Club calls the blue cheese. Now, the blue cheese is an AJ Fernandez collaboration, and AJ has some of the best tobacco in the market. In the industry, they just do, flat out. And this is a Nicaraguan Habano, Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan filler, but it doesn't smoke strong like a Nicaraguan Puro. And some of the notes that they claim that you're going to get out of this cigar are a little bit of cinnamon. I can agree with that. A little more nutmeggy for me. They say like a mocha coffee kind of creaminess. I can get where they get some coffee out of it, but I wouldn't necessarily go that far. And definitely some cream. And I'm going to smoke this and give you guys my own tasting profile as well while we go through the rest of the cigars from Privada Cigar Club. But you know there's only one way to find out what a $100 bill actually smokes like. I'm not going to just roll up and smoke a $100 bill. So, you know what we got to do with this?
We got to cut light in.
Now look, I know what you're thinking. You hear the name blue cheese and you think salad dressing or buffalo wing dip. I'm just going to tell you right now, if you put blue cheese on your salad or dip your buffalo wings in it, we can't sit together. We just can't. I can't be around blue cheese. So this cigar has absolutely nothing to do with that kind of blue cheese. It's named the blue cheese after $100 bill, which is slang for cheese, and the new blue strip that they put on it to identify whether or not it's a fake $100 bill or not. Hence, blue cheese. I'll tell you what though, this thing smokes like a $100 bill. Right at the first light, you get a little bit of that woody bite and some nose tingle from like a little bit of like a nutmeggy white pepper. A little bit of like a graham cracker on the finish. Not a lot of creaminess or anything coming out of it just yet. We just got it lit up. But there is a little bit of some spice. Now let's talk about some of the other cigars that you can get from Privada Cigar Club if you're a member of their monthly subscription. Number one, The Good Life. This is probably one of the more like simple, looks like you printed it at home on your printer band, but don't let that fool you. The box is beautiful, and this cigar is beautiful. It's made by J.C. Newman, and in my personal opinion, it's everything that I want from a Diamond Crown or a Julius Caesar that I don't get from those cigars. Where those cigars are good in their own right, me personally, I want a little bit more of something from them. And that's what this cigar gives me. With a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, a Brazilian Matty Fina binder, which is really interesting, and then it's got Jalapa, Esteli, and Condega, the trifecta, the triangle of Nicaraguan tobacco in the filler. This cigar is going to be dark, rich, some woodiness, a little bit of some pepper. I really enjoyed this cigar. A couple other people thought it was a little bit too much on the woody and peppery side, but for me, really enjoyed The Good Life. Some creaminess on that retrohale with a little bit of that woody spice that bites you on the retrohale. The back of the palate and at the top of the nasal cavity. Good smoking cigar. Let's go on to the next one. Some of you guys might know this just because you know the guy. I don't know a whole lot about this person individually, personally, but I know he's a huge person on YouTube, and that's Jeremy Sears. And I know him from the EDC, Everyday Carry stuff, right? And this is his cigar that he made with Privada Cigar Club. And this is the Hold Fast by Jeremy Sears. Now, the Hold Fast is another one from AJ Fernandez. You'll notice Privada works a lot with AJ Fernandez. But this is another AJ Fernandez blend with a Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan and Colombian filler. It's really interesting. I thought this cigar was going to be very similar to like the King's Envy, but that Colombian filler in it changed it a little bit different, made it a little bit more complex, a little bit more full-bodied. This is a nice medium smoke with some good spice to it. Privada claims you're going to get some oak, some nuts, and some cream from it. Really good cigar. That's called the Hold Fast in representation of Jeremy Sears. Before I get into these last three, we're going to smoke this down a little bit and tell you a little bit more about this blue cheese. Some of that spice is given away. It's opening up to that creaminess, that little bit of like that nutmeggy, almost like I could see where they're saying cinnamon leaning starting to come through. It's got a nice graham cracker note to it. Man, I really enjoy, so far I've really enjoyed this cigar. I'm not a typical Habano smoker. I'm not going to go into a shop or walk into my personal humidor or the shop humidors here and seek out a Habano very often. It's just not something that I do. And I don't know if it's just something that's built into my head of like, oh, I don't like Habanos or whatever. I don't know. I think it's just I'm not as impressed or as drawn back to Habano, some of the Habanos, as I would normally be like a Maduro, where I'm like, oh, that Maduro's great. The Pilon from CAO, the Box Press Natural, that is one that I will go back to constantly. This blue cheese is now something that I will go back to constantly. I'm really enjoying this cigar. Now, coming up December 4th, I'm actually going to be having Privada Cigar Club on the YouTube channel for a live, and we're actually going to get Brian and maybe another guy, Clark, on the YouTube channel for a conversation just about Privada Cigar Club and about what they're doing, what the LCA is. I did a video a few videos back on the Turducken and the Chico, the LCA cigars. I think it's really cool, but I think it would be really neat to kind of hear it from them. I also am really interested to talk to them about, they're kind of the black sheep of the industry. If you follow them on Instagram, there's always, a little bit of drama attached to them. And I kind of dig it. I like the controversy. I like being a black sheep in the industry. I like disrupting things, right? And, I'm excited to have those guys on and just have a conversation. We're two people in the industry that are very similar. And I think could potentially maybe even do some work together. That cream is just coming through on the retrohale more and more and more as I start smoking this. But I'm going to step away and get into it a little bit more so I can tell you guys a little bit more about this blue cheese from Privada Cigar Club. And then I'll tell you about the last three cigars I got sitting next to me in this sampling pack. All right, so we're back here with the blue cheese. The old $100 bill. Mr. Benjamin Franklin. And as you smoke the cigar and you get out of that first third into the second third, that creaminess really starts to come through in the cigar. Makes it more of that nice, pleasant morning cigar to smoke, but it still has enough complexity that it's not boring or too smooth or too creamy. And it's also not too spicy where you couldn't smoke it in the morning. So basically what I'm getting at is I could probably smoke this cigar any time of the day, multiple times a day. I would not feel bad if this was the only box of cigars that I had to smoke on a daily basis. I might get a little bored because that's how I am, but for the most part, very good cigar to smoke, and I'm enjoying it thoroughly. Beautiful burn, nice white ash, tighter on the draw. But see, a tighter draw for me just means that the cigar is a little bit more packed, so you get more tobacco. I know some people really, really love that really fresh, clean draw that you're used from like companies like Padron. But sometimes it's a little too loose for me. But let's talk about two more of the cigars that I got here from Privada Cigar Club. And they are the creams. And they come in the box comes as like a split box. So you get half and half. You get half of the Maduro, half of the Habano. These are another AJ Fernandez collaboration that they did. What's unique about the cigar is that AJ ferments these wrappers for 5 years in some sort of really unique way that AJ does. Apparently, the guy has some really, really cool ways of fermenting tobacco. Obviously, not all that stuff is going to be shared because we got to keep some of our stuff a little bit of a secret so that not everybody can do what we're doing, right? Now, the Maduro is supposed to be they call it the vanilla. So it's supposed to be a rich vanilla kind of smoking Maduro with some nuttiness to it. And if I remember correctly, these are both Ecuadorian Habano, Ecuadorian Maduro, and they're Nicaraguan fillers from AJ. But it's the 5-year fermentation on these wrappers that makes these cigars unique. And if you smell them when you take them out of the wrapper, you can smell that fermentation that you get on these cigars. They're very different, very unique. You got the Maduro's a little bit longer and thinner. The Habano's a little shorter, a little bit more on the chunky side. Both of them are kind of in this like figurado size. I'll be honest, these weren't my favorite two out of the lineup that I have in front of me, but they smoke really, really rich and very similar to like a diesel. But with them coming from AJ Fernandez, it obviously makes sense, right? Now, pairing this blue cheese for coffee with me gives it like this graham cracker kind of note to it. It's got a little bit of a spice that comes and goes. A little bit of that allspice, that nutmeg. I would say it's more of a nutmeg. I could see where it would be leaning towards like a cinnamon. For me, it's more like a nutmeg. A little bit of like a graham cracker and some nutmeg. But the coffee will sometimes add like a little bit of like a salted pretzel kind of note to it. Not heavy salt. I'm talking like a sprinkle or two, right? Like like one of those little hard salt crystals on the top of like a soft pretzel. Look, I know I talk about cigars in a crazy way. That's the best way that I can relate it, right? It's just me. I mean, I could legitimately smoke this anytime. Look, I don't have this stuff from Privada because they sent it to me, because they are asking me to do something, because they're wanting to sponsor a video review on their cigars. None of that. They literally just reached out and said, have you heard of Privada? Would you like to try some of our stuff? And do you have any interest in carrying it? And for me personally, I've been very impressed with what they carry. It just doesn't disappoint. It really, like, you know how there's those guys out there that are like, just give me a box of Cubans. I'll smoke it every day for the rest of my life. I promise, just one box of Cubans. So with that note, I'm going to go finish this and come back there in the final third. Be right back. All right, so we're back. We're down to the nub of this blue cheese by Privada Cigar Club by the way of AJ Fernandez. It's a great cigar. It does get a little bit more harsh and dirty, that woody bite towards the final third when you get down like this. But all in all, it's a very good cigar. It's one that I could smoke easily on a regular basis. But there's one more cigar I got to tell you about in this sampler. That is the Bad Monkey. Now, it's a little bit of like a blended contrast of a band. It's kind of hard to see it, but it's super cool. It's like a purple and black, purple and kind of green monkey on there. This cigar, when you smell it, is just a rich fermented stone fruit on it. I mean, it just smells rich. And when you smoke it, it smokes kind of sweet, kind of smooth. And then that punch kind of sneaks up on you when you go to get out of your chair, and it kind of creeps up on you and you get a little bit of a buzz from it. But this cigar is a Nicaraguan Habano Maduro with a double Nicaraguan binder and Nicaraguan fillers. And the Mad Monkey was allegedly came from Tony Boreas of Stallone Cigars. I guess he went down to Nicaragua and spent a month trying to blend a bold cigar with a bunch of different aged tobaccos. This is what he came up with. It's the Mad Monkey. This is probably my second favorite one out of the whole lineup outside of the blue cheese. Well, with that, guys, I got to get going. I'm out of here like last year. And if you guys have ever wanted to try some Privada Cigar Club stuff, but you didn't want to join the club, now you can. Peace.